The tip of the revolver's barrel trembled toward me while it spit the words between the teeth, with a coldness that would froze the air. Signs. Or will regret bitterly. My father remained motionless by the door, arms crossed like a silent barrier, his eyes fixed at some vague point. I didn't extend my hand to get the papers. Instead, I sketched a slight smile and leaned my head to the corner of the room. Take a look there. My sister shuddered, followed my gaze and paled in a matter of seconds. 5 heartbeats later, the stamp ripped the silence. Thus finished our family encounter, which started like any other Sunday at the site, banal, forced, full of empty smiles and rehearsed gestures. It all started when we rented a little house in the Berezovka condominium, one of those standardized buildings with peeled walls, uncommitted 90s furniture and a tap that dripped nonstop in the bathroom. Upon arrival, the table was already covered with a flowery plastic towel. My mother stirred in the kitchen, uncovering supermarket bags, sliced breads, a bunch of bananas, salads ready in plastic jars, that food that is bought when the goal is to simulate care without the work of really cooking. Tanya, finally, exclaimed, with an exaggerated enthusiasm that barely disguised the embarrassment. It should be hungry after the trip. My father dragged his feet, carrying a thermos with the expression of those who have no hurry. He looked at me and released, neither cold, no warmth. Just your old man here. Then Anna appeared. Huge sunglasses, impeccably tidy hair, a cloud of perfume so strong that it wanted to sneeze. He kissed the air near my face. Glad that it arrived without taking traffic. For a while, everything seemed normal. My mother filled the table with more food than 4 people could consume. My father sat at the headboard, silent. Anna talked about Leningradsky's renovation and the new roundabout at Volokholamsk, matters no one had asked. Before lunch, we decided to take a walk. Behind the house, a dirt road serpented beside a lake covered with vegetation and a forest strip. My mother pointed to flowers on the edges of the way. My father mumbled about the abnormal heat. Anna, thinking no one noticed, slid her fingers through the phone screen. That walk that families do when they don't know what to talk about, but they need to fill the silence with steps. I answered questions with education, maintaining a neutral tone. Outside, we should look like an ordinary family on an ordinary weekend of May. When we returned, my mother worked even more to tidy up the table. Sandwiches cut into perfect triangles, chips scattered on a platter, fruit stacked in the center. Come, go. He pushed a plate toward me. I bet you haven't eaten anything since morning. I had had coffee. Mommy. She gestured with her hand, as if not important, but I noticed the tremor in the corners of her mouth. I needed everything to seem perfect, even if it was a scam. We sat, my father to head, my mother to her right, Anna by my side. For a while, it was only heard from the cutlery and the crunchy of the chips. That silence that doesn't bother until you realize that he is there. 5 minutes passed without a word. It was Anna who broke the ice, with calculated lightness, as if the idea just happened to her. So what did you decide to do with the heritage of Grandpa? The word fell in the middle of the room like a stone in a lake standing. My mother lowered her eyes to the plate. My father took a sip of tea. Anna's gaze pierced me, too intense, too bright. I shrugged my shoulders. I'm still thinking. His smile hesitated. At least you have a choice, unlike us. My father cleared throat. In the family, everything must be divided with justice. You need to share. I had a sip of cold coffee. Let's see. My mother tried to change the. I suffered at the same time, asking about my work in the technology area, about the renovation in my rented apartment, but the mood was already poisoned. The inheritance now occupied a chair at the table, heavier than the dishes, higher than silence. We ate in tension. Anna released indirect disguised as a joke. My father remained silent. My mother, from time to time, pushed cut fruits toward me. After such a long break that the air became dense, Anna pushed the plate away and smiled. Come on, come with us. We want to show you something. The tone was light, but something inside me contracted. My father got up, the chair gritting in the linoleum. It didn't look in my eyes. They took me a hallway to a room in the back of the house. Naked walls, a plywood, 2 chairs, and a pile of paper in the center. "This will solve everything," said Anna, sliding the documents toward me. My father blocked the exit, immovable. I didn't say a word. I sat down and took the first sheet. The legal clauses danced before my eyes. Second page. Third. My breath was slow. It was a renunciation. Total. Irrevocable. All the money, all the goods, all to them. Nothing to me. I let out a dry laugh. "Are you serious? Do you think I will sign this? Anna didn't even win. Grandpa would want the family to remain united. Of course, he must have sent you a message from beyond, right?" My father's voice cut the air, rough. "Don't be smart. Subscribe." "I'm not being smart, Dad. I'm being rational. You are trying to steal me with pen and paper." Anna's face was stained red. "You don't deserve it. I wasn't even going to visit him. Maybe don't deserve it. But I will not sign." She suddenly got up. "Will you sign?" "No." The word stopped between us, heavy. My father's eyes narrowed. "It will regret it." I looked at him. "Calm down. I already regret coming." It was then that Anna dived her hand in her bag. Took a revolver. The silence in the living room was so thick that I could hear my mother stirring the dishes in the kitchen. The gun pointed to me. "Subscribe. Or it will be worse." My father was still stopped by the door. His silence was a clearer threat than any word. I pushed the pen carefully. "No." The air pressured the eardrums. I smiled slightly and pointed my head to the corner. "Look there." She turned sharply. My father followed his gaze. The two fixed their eyes on the small black summit on the ceiling. Anna's face was pale as paper. "What? What is that?" "A camera," I said. They smiled. "They are being filmed." She turned to me after back to the lens. Panic overflowed in his eyes. "It cannot be." The weapon trembled in his hands. Pointed to the camera. "Turn off it," he shouted, his voice broken. "I can't. Everything is being saved in the cloud." His eyes jumped between me and the camera, desperate. With a sudden gesture, he squeezed the trigger. The crash exploded in space. In the kitchen, my mother shouted, something shattered on the floor. The camera remained intact, the red light flashing, indifferent. Anna's eyes widened. I was still sitting, apparently serene, while inside everything squeezed into a hard knot. The cold lens was still recording, relentless. To understand how we got to that moment, a gun, a camera, a family shattering, you have to go back a little in time. I was the middle daughter. And being the middle daughter is already a condemnation. Not the firstborn, pride in the family, nor the youngest, spoiled by standard. Only the middle, lost between the two. So I made noise. It was my role. If I couldn't draw attention being good, then it would be bad. I was that child who climbed walls, ran away from home at night, jumped out of the shed's roof with an open umbrella, just to test whether it would work like parachute. Not that I wanted to hurt myself. I just liked the adrenaline. I would like to do what was not allowed. Paradoxically, these were the. I felt alive, because only then did anyone look at me. If I got home full of scratches, my mother had to pause the soap opera. If he answered badly at dinner, my father was forced to take his eyes off the news. It was an unqualified agreement. My parents hated me for it, but I learned early, bad attention is better than none. Anna hated me with a special intensity. She was the perfect daughter, responsible, a source of pride in parents' meetings. In his eyes, I was the shame of the family. And maybe she was right. But she didn't understand one thing: I didn't do that badly. It did because it was the only way to exist in that space. And she never forgiven that. Anna simply ignored me. Not with indifference, but with surgical accuracy, as one who sharpened the blade before the blow. Each achievement was a knife stuck in me: the red diploma framed in the wall, the internship in the company that refused my resume, the flawless smile that displayed for the guests, while, behind the closed doors, I cheered the dagger in the wound. "Why don't you control yourself?" Her voice was honey covered with poison. "It's no wonder no one trusts you." Each word was a reminder that for her I was a calculation error in the perfect family. Ilya was different. We were not close, but he saw me. He revolved his eyes when our parents started another sermon on responsibility and alien shame. Sometimes I even covered me when I stuck it in another trouble, a counterfeit note here, a makeshift alibi there. It was the only one who, without saying anything, made me understand, in that house, I was not completely invisible. At the 18, I couldn't stand it anymore. I wandered my things in a beaten backpack and went out without looking back. Without the help of parents, no money to college, only with what I had gathered by delivering orders at dawn. It was hard, but would rather swallow pride and survive alone to stifle those 4 square meters of hypocrisy they called home. The only person I missed was the Koya grandpa. He was the opposite of all that. While my parents consumed in concerns about status and what the neighbors would say, the grandpa didn't care about any of these things. He wore the same worn jacket for decades, ment his shoes until they crumble for good. In the birthdays, he arrived with a card bought in the subway stand and a mechanic hand grip, dirty with grease, rough with corns. My mother wrinkled her nose. It looks like a beggar. My father sighs, shaking his head, as if the old man was staining his family name. But I loved that. He loved that he didn't play their game. It does not circumvent itself to please. It didn't even seem to notice the crooked looks he received. He told me stories of the workshop, the cities where he lived, the people he met, nothing glamorous, only raw life. And that was what I wanted, something real. Sometimes when we went to a neighborhood coffee or the district canteen, I paid the bill for him, thinking I had no money. The grandpa smiled in that kind of known, as if he knew something I still didn't understand. From time to time, he released phrases that stuck in my mind. Even if I had millions, I would live the same way. Because as soon as people find out you have money, they stop seeing you. They only see what they can get. I thought it was a joke. Ah, Grandpa, you and your follies. He lived until 96. When he died, it was not a shock, the age was already weighed, but it hurt. It was the only one in the family that looked at me like I was people. Therefore, when they called us at the registry office for reading the will, I expected nothing. No one expected. Grandpa was a widower, everyone knew. My parents were out of obligation. Anna, out of morbid curiosity. Ilya, because she had no choice. The office was in an old building with plaster peeling from the walls. We sat in hard chairs, one that looked out of a Soviet movie. The air smelled the soluble dust and coffee. Anna leaned against Ilya and whispered, "Will we inherit something? The pants of him?" My father mumbled, "If so, the pierced socks." My mother shook her head, certainly any junk he didn't have the courage to throw away. I was quiet, biting my lip inside. They spent years humiliating him, and there they were, continuing work even after death. The notary came in with a folder, coughed slightly and started reading. Nikolai Petrovich expressed his last will in this document. No one moved. Anna examined her nails. My mother rummaged into the chair. My father sighed. So the notary said my name. Silence. All heritage is left to the granddaughter, Totyona. The room froze. Anna blinked, then laughed a dry, bland sound. What? Your Soviet cups of collector? My father frowned. What exactly did he leave to her? The notary adjusted the glasses. All the equity. Entirely. The ticker of the clock on the wall echoed like a bomb. Anna smiled, challenging. Okay. How much is it? 2,000 rubles? Notary consulted the papers. The total assessment of the assets is approximately 65 million rubles. The words hovered in the air like a joke of bad taste that no one dared to laugh. My mother took her hand to her mouth. My father straightened his back, rigid. Anna shook her head, incredulously. That's impossible. He had nothing. He wore the same shirt 10 years ago. The notary kept calm. Nikolai Petrovich invested. 4 decades. Small amounts, but consistently. Savings in Sberbank, government bonds, actions of large companies. In addition to a room apartment in Moscow, which he rented. Over time, everything valued. My father's face was purple. This is absurd. I'm his son. That money should be mine. My mother nodded, or ours. For the family. Anna's voice cut the air, sharp. She doesn't deserve it. He never did anything for him. I remained motionless, my hands crossed over my knees. The blood beat in the ears. For the first time in their lives, they looked at me. Not through, not beside me. I shrugged my shoulders. It looks like Grandpa thought differently. It was then that his looks became burns. Anna's fury, my father's unbelief, my mother's disdain. He had spent his whole life wanting their attention. I never imagined that I would have it that way. The notary continued to explain deadlines, bureaucracies. I barely heard. The only sound he recorded was the deafening silence around a shock, anger, something that broke out without a return. They laughed at Grandpa for years, calling him poor. And the man who despised left a fortune. All for me. At that moment, I understood. That was just the beginning. Deep down, I always knew what my family was capable. And I confess, a part of me wanted to test them. Yes, I went there because I wanted to see with my own eyes. And because, in the heart, a little hope insisted on pulsating. Perhaps I'm wrong. Perhaps, just this time, they acted as normal people. Maybe we eat my mother's sandwiches, discuss nonsense at the table and follow each one to his side. If they had shown me a minimum of humanity, perhaps I had divided. Perhaps. But I wasn't going to risk my life for this remote possibility. That's why I hired professionals. Not the police, a discreet, licensed service, with people who knew what they did. They warned me, this is crazy, it's not worth it. I said, I'm going anyway. Agreed to cover me. They arrived earlier, scoured the house, settled hidden cameras. All with my consent, all within the law. While we walked near the lake, they turned every corner, found the gun. They didn't take her, they only guaranteed that it didn't work as Anna planned. When she squeezed the trigger, she only heard a dry crack and saw smoke. Then they waited outside, ready to intervene, listening, observing. There. It was no luck. It was not a miracle. It was not fate. It was calculation. Every second, every movement. And when the trap closed, they got stuck, not me. The lawsuits have dragged on for months, as always in these things, audiences, roles, lawyers discussing legal minutiae that barely understood. Until, finally, it is over. The question of the will was resolved. I was the only heiress. Every penny, mine. When I heard the judgment in court, I didn't feel triumph. It was strange, as if the floor was gone under my feet, and I still tried to balance myself. He had spent so much time waiting for someone to take me all that. Now that there was no one else to do that, I didn't know what to feel. The criminal proceedings against them ran in parallel. Anna was tried first. 5.5 years of arrest in a common basis. The judge spared no words, threat with weapon, coercion for fraudulent transaction. She tried to cry. Too late. My father came next. He didn't squeeze the trigger, but stood, allowing it to happen. 1 year and 6 months, suspended, another heavy fine. He collaborated with the investigation, hence leniency. His face said everything. He thought silence would protect him. It was mistaken. My mother was the last one. He always hid in the shadows, convinced that this would shield her. Did not shield. Did you avoid the arrest, but the reputation? Destroyed forever. I didn't celebrate. I didn't feel joy to see them being taken from the room. Just tiredness. That tiredness that comes after years carrying a burden I never asked. But behind this exhaustion, something more moved. Space. For the first time, the possibility of imagining a life that was mine. Not the one they imposed, not the one that was built around the never-loved child enough or the eternal atoning goat. A life in which I decided what mattered. As I left the forum, I closed my eyes and saw another scene unfold in my head. No shouts, no paid scattered, no weapons in bags. Only me, walking forward, free, and no one else holding me. 5 years later, my life is different. After the courts, after the money was finally mine, really, I did what in adolescence it seemed impossible. I raised my own family. I married. We have a daughter, several. 3 years. Outside, we are equal to anyone. A modest apartment in Nova Moscow, a practical SUV in the garage, neighbors who complain about condominium rates and broken playground. For the world, we are a common middle-class family. But money changed everything, silently, the way my grandfather would have approved. I invest with intelligence, without fuss, government bonds, debentures, actions with good dividends. I bought quotas in rental properties. A financial consultant manages my Russian PJ. I opened an account on the name of Veri, a B, an accumulation life insurance. Not to pour it, but so that it is protected when it grows up. For now, she knows nothing. Nor does it need. It is busy being a child, as it should be. I didn't keep everything to me. Ilya, the one who warned me, received what she deserved. I paid her studies, helped with the rent of the first apartment, bought a decent notebook for him to work. He never asked, and that is precisely why I trust him. Today, he builds his life alone, standing. As for me, spent. Travel, Sochi and Abkhazia, Altai and Baikal, digestion, sometimes Turkey or Emirates, always without ostentation. I stay in good hotels, like what I want, I buy comfort when I need, freedom when it's time. But at home, seen simple clothes. I shop in the same supermarkets, paid with mere card. For the world, there is nothing extraordinary. I like it. Because now I understand what my grandfather meant. If people think you're rich, they just see the money. If you think you are common, you live in peace. The adrenaline still runs in the veins. Parachute leap in Kolomna, trails in Karelia and Caucasus, diving on vacation, but now with certified, safe schools. Tirchi. I arrested to feed this part of me without destroying me. In the end, I don't need strangers to see my wealth. I need my daughter to grow safe, happy and free. The rest is detail.